Hi there. Let's discuss the Ielts General Task 1 letter writing tips. Succeeding at any exam requires positivity, preparation, and practice. The Ielts General Writing Task 1 measures your ability to communicate about common practical issues. You have 20 minutes to respond to a question prompt by writing a letter to a person, a company, or an institution. Your response is worth about 30% of your writing score and is graded separately from the Task 2 essay. So let's start with the first pointer and the first step, which is identifying the type of letter. So it is very important for us to first find out what a letter is all about. Now, there are three types of letters: formal, semi-formal, and informal. So what is the difference between these three? Now, in a formal letter, it is when you're requesting information from a company, or you're applying for a job, complaining to a bank or store or an airline reproduce or a service, or making a recommendation and suggestion. So these pointers come under formal letters. If it's a semi-formal letter, means you know the person, but you have never you know the person, but he's not your friend. So like complaining to a landlord, explaining to a neighbor, asking a professor for permission. And in informal letters, it is when you're writing to your friends or family members, when you invite someone you know well, thanking a friend or apologizing or asking for advice or sharing your condolences. Now, the second step is how to open and close the letter. Now, if it's a formal letter, I know to someone you have never met and whose name as well you don't know. So you're going to open your letter by saying "Dear Sir" or "Dear Madam," and your ending should be really formal, which is "Yours faithfully." If it's a semi-formal letter, means you know the person or may not have met, but whose last name you definitely know. So here you can use the last name and you can say "Dear Mr. Brown" or "Dear Miss Stone," and the ending can again be either "Yours faithfully" or "Yours sincerely." If it's an informal letter, means to someone you know very well, whose first and last names you know. Again, you can use the first name here and you can say "Dear John" or "Dear Anita," and your ending can be "Best regards" or "Warm wishes." Step 3 will be how to use what statement or line to use to open a formal or a semi-formal letter. Now, if it is a letter where you are inquiring, then you can say "Dear Sir" or "Madam, I'm writing to inquire about," or "I'm writing in connection with," or you can say "Dear Mr. Jones, I'm writing to inform you." "Dear Sir" or "Ma'am, I regret to express my dissatisfaction," if you're complaining. And "Dear Mr. Smith," if you're requesting something, you can say "I'm writing to request you." Step 4 is how to open an informal letter. So informal letter is definitely writing to your friends and family. You can say "Dear Jane, I hope you and your family are all well. It was such a pleasure to see you again last summer. We sure had a great time catching up with each other after so many years. You have always been a cherished friend, no matter how much of a gap there has been since we met. Anyway, the reason I'm writing is that I have some good news. I'm getting married this summer." So this is like an example. Alright, so the step 5 is to divide your letter into paragraphs. So the first paragraph will be an introduction like we talked about. The second will be a problem or a solution. So whatever problem you have got in the question, you know there are 3 bullet points in the question. So you have to answer all 3 bullet points. So in the second paragraph, you can talk about the problem and what the solution you might have. And then in the third paragraph, you can let the person know how is the solution can be tackled and what actions can be taken. And in the end, you can conclude the letter, and we'll take a look at how we can conclude by saying, I look forward to meeting you, or look forward for a quick or prompt reply. Alright, so how to signal a new paragraph. So you should be very well aware about indenting, which means you need to leave a line space between paragraphs. Start writing directly from the left margin. You're not going to leave any space when beginning a new paragraph. So here we have some useful expressions for letter writing. The first is apologizing. If you're apologizing, you can use one of these statements. You can say, please accept my sincere apologies for, or I'm very sorry about, or sorry for. Next is asking for help. I'd be grateful if you could, or I would appreciate if you could, or could you please? And then asking for information. You can say I'm writing to inquire about, or I'm writing to find out about, or I would like to know about. If it is closing, I can say I look forward to hearing from you, like I mentioned in the conclusion. Or you can say I look forward to seeing you, or I look forward to meeting you. If you're complaining, you can say I'm writing to express my dissatisfaction with, or I'm writing to express my annoyance with, or I'm not happy with. If you're expressing your satisfaction, you can say I was delighted to learn that, or I was thrilled to hear that, I was very glad to hear that. If you're expressing concern, you can say I'm writing to express my concern about, or I'm very sorry to learn that, I was really sorry to hear that. If you're giving a bad news, you can say I regret to advise you that, or I regret to inform you that, or I'm sorry to tell you that. If you're giving a good news, you can say I'm pleased to advise you that, or I'm delighted to inform you that, or I'm happy to tell you that. If you're giving reasons, you can say this is due to, or this is a result of, this is because. If you're making suggestions, you can say perhaps it would be useful to, perhaps it would be possible to, it might be helpful to. If you're thanking, you can say I'm extremely grateful for, or I really appreciate, or thank you for. So I hope this video you find is really informative. Thank you for watching my video. Keep watching more IELTS writing videos and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.